Я благодарю представителя Панамы за его выступление. Сейчас предоставляю слово представителю Пакистана.
President, thank you for convening this urgent meeting. We are thankful also to Assistant Secretary General Poby and Under Secretary General Fletcher for their sobering and deeply distressing briefings. The situation in Darfur has continued to deteriorate sharply. And this, despite Security Council Resolution 2736, which demanded that the rapid support forces lift the siege of al-Fashir, and despite repeated Council press statements calling for an end to the atrocities. The RSF has taken over al-Fashir and continues to commit one war crime after another. So when ASG Poby underlines that decisive action was not taken, and when USG Fletcher keeps telling us that we always saw it coming, there is little to justify why we could not do enough to prevent this. It is time for this Council to send an unambiguous message that it will not remain a passive spectator while innocent civilians are massacred, hospitals are bombed, and aid workers are targeted with impunity. Pakistan condemns, in the strongest possible terms, the atrocities perpetrated by the RSF and its violent takeover of al-Fashir. The deliberate targeting of civilians, medical facilities, and humanitarian personnel constitutes flagrant violation of international humanitarian and human rights law. We are appalled by the killing of hundreds of patients and health workers at the Saudi maternity hospital and by the continuing siege that has trapped thousands of civilians in inhumane conditions. These heinous acts must stop immediately, and the perpetrators and their sponsors must be held accountable. President, for over 2 decades, we have witnessed a tragedy unfolding in Sudan, and that has been complicated by external interference and geopolitics. And unfortunately, we have not learned from history and past mistakes. And those who reject parallel governance by the RSF, but at the same time try to equate the militia with the Sudanese authorities, must review their positions. The perceived lack of full support for the Sudanese government by this Council only emboldens the RSF and prolongs the conflict. Undermining Sudan's legitimate state institutions risks creating a vacuum that armed groups like RSF exploit to commit further atrocities and destabilize the entire region. It is therefore imperative that the international community engage constructively with the Sudanese authorities to sustain governance, facilitate humanitarian access, advance the political process, and preserve national unity. We recognize the steps taken by the Sudanese government in pursuance of its transitional roadmap, including the appointment of a new prime minister and a technocratic cabinet tasked with alleviating humanitarian suffering and advancing an inclusive political transition. These are positive developments that deserve the Council's acknowledgement and support. President, Pakistan reaffirms its unwavering commitment to the sovereignty, unity, and territorial integrity of Sudan. We condemn unequivocally the establishment of any so-called parallel governance structures which undermine Sudan's state institutions and risk fragmenting the country. Such illegitimate structures must find no recognition from the international community. And as others have said, there is no military solution to this conflict. The guns must fall silent. External interference must stop. We call for an immediate cessation of hostilities and for renewed engagement in a genuinely Sudanese-led and Sudanese-owned political process, consistent with the spirit of the Jeddah Declaration and commitments to protect the civilians in Sudan. Pakistan will support all efforts, good faith, coordinated, and synergized efforts towards this end. The people of Sudan have endured unimaginable suffering for far too long. They deserve peace, dignity, and hope. The Council must act with unity and resolve to bring about a ceasefire, to protect civilians, and to give the people of Sudan the chance to rebuild their country in peace. I thank you.
Я благодарю представителя Пакистана.